We have all seen this playground standoff. One child is playing with a toy, another child wants it, and an adult steps in to enforce the rules. You need to share. The child reluctantly hands the toy over, but if you look closely, their shoulders slump, their eyes drop, and their grip goes slack. The physical cues project defeat, not generosity. The adult usually walks away satisfied, operating on a very common assumption that by enforcing the correct behavior, they are actively teaching a lesson in kindness. What the adult perceives as a successful parenting moment is actually a moment of neurological survival for the child. Let's freeze time right here, at the exact fraction of a second before the toy is surrendered. Underneath that tightened grip, a bottom-up biological cascade is ripping through the child's nervous system. This reaction is governed by neuroception, a primitive subconscious radar constantly scanning the environment to detect subtle cues of safety or threat. In this split second, the child's brain is not weighing the moral virtues of sharing. It is making a rapid-fire calculation about survival. Look at this diagram of the brain's architecture. When that neuroceptive radar picks up a threat, the signal travels up from the brainstem and triggers alarms in the amygdala, our primitive threat detector. The amygdala cannot tell the difference between the physical threat of a predator and the social threat of a looming, angry parent demanding compliance. Both trigger the exact same biological alarm. Once that alarm sounds, the brain initiates a physiological shutdown. It redirects energy away from higher-order thinking to prepare the body for defense, literally starving the prefrontal cortex of resources until it goes offline. Because the prefrontal cortex is the specific region responsible for cognitive control, perspective-taking, and empathy, the child is now biologically incapable of genuine kindness. Forcing a child to hand over the toy hijacks their nervous system, trading actual emotional development for a quick behavioral fix. Repeated exposure to this kind of forced compliance creates what researchers call toxic stress. When the stress response is activated over and over without a supportive adult to buffer it, those defensive neural pathways physically thicken. Over time, the brain learns a devastating lesson. Asserting a personal boundary results in the loss of a parent's approval, which registers as a threat to survival. Mandating that a child share does not wire them to be generous. It permanently wires their brain for self-abandonment and people-pleasing. Let's rewind the timeline back to that frozen moment of tension with the toy, but this time we change the parent's input. Instead of issuing a command, the parent drops to eye level, uses a calm tone, and validates the boundary. You are still playing with that. You can let him have a turn when you're done. By doing this, the adult acts as a stress buffer. They feed a direct cue of relational safety straight into the child's neuroception. This safety signal triggers ventral vagal activation. It immediately engages the body's social engagement system, acting like a brake pedal that actively quiets the amygdala's alarm. Establishing that sense of relational safety is the only biological mechanism capable of interrupting the survival cascade. Returning to our brain diagram, look at what happens when the threat subsides. The neural pathways connecting up to the prefrontal cortex activate, and the higher-order brain powers back online. It is only from this state of physiological safety that a child has the neurological bandwidth to actually practice executive function and take someone else's perspective. Practicing this supported, safe regulation has its own neuroplastic effect. Over time, it physically wires the brain for authentic generosity. This process of co-regulation, where an adult's calm nervous system helps settle a child's, provides the scaffolding they need to eventually build independent emotional intelligence.
If you want to understand your child's brain a little better every week, we make one of these for you. Subscribe, and we'll see you next time.